You're watching News 24 Live. Next Wednesday is the National Day of Reconciliation. However, most South Africans feel that race relations in South Africa since 1994 have either deteriorated or stayed the same. That's according to the latest Barometer survey by the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation. Jan Hofmeyer from the Institute joins us in studio this afternoon to tell us more. Jan, thank you very much for coming in today. Yesterday, of course, was where you guys released the rest of these findings. But before we get onto that, we have these barometer surveys across the board. How reliable is this particular one? I believe it's the only one of its kind.
Yes.
And it was quite telling the period where the survey took place.
Yes. Well, the Reconciliation Barometer is a nationally representative sample. We've interviewed about 2,220 South Africans, representative in terms of our racial demographics, gender demographics, age, and also urban-rural split. So we're fairly confident that that the methodology involved is robust and that the responses that we get are representative of the South African population. We've been doing this survey since 2003. The most recent one having been conducted in September and October this year, which largely also overlaps with a very interesting period politically in South Africa, preceding and almost sort of overlapping with a part of the student protests.
Student protests, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's look at just some of the figures. 61% of this representative sample feel that although legislated racism has been removed, the way that different races interact with each other hasn't improved. Now, in what sort of contexts and environments does this refer to?
Well, we've looked at sort of shared spaces such as the workplace, places of commerce and trade, for example, and then we've also looked at the more sort of intimate spaces that aren't necessarily reflected by legislation. You cannot legislate conduct in your home or sort of within a church context or in a communal gathering and so on. So what we do see is that in the shared spaces you find that there is more interaction. South Africans who are employed, who operate in workplaces do report much higher levels of interaction than those who are not employed. One also see this pattern if one looks at the LSMs, with the lower LSM categories reporting the lowest levels of interaction, the higher LSM categories reporting higher levels of interaction, which also largely speaks to the need for more inclusive economic development and growth. That is, if you can achieve growth.
Okay, and it's not all doom and gloom. 70%, I believe, or 70% of the sample still hopeful for sort of one united South Africa. But what are the other 30% then hoping for? I mean, what are their feelings?
Well, I think that the question of reconciliation has also become a contested issue in some circles, and one has also seen this being questioned during the Fees Must Fall protest. One has also recently seen Mr. Malema questioning sort of the figurehead of national reconciliation, former President Mandela. So, so there are people that are also questioning whether we have followed the right road sort of in the transitional period. But I think if one looks at the responses of our respondents, most people said that this is the way that we should have gone, this is the right direction, and we should continue to pursue it even if the progress has been slow.